Here's 8 quick tips to hopefully help take your digital illustration workflow to the next level. We've spent the last few months working on our Wicked Watercolour brush pack for Procreate and have found ourselves using these tricks over and over again, so we thought we'd share them with you guys. You'll find that most of these tricks are super useful in any style of digital art, so check them out, see what you think, and drop a comment below if you've any tips of your own that you want to share. Have you ever finished an illustration and felt it was a little flat? Maybe all it needs is a touch of extra saturation. We finished this illustration, so we're going to copy everything on the screen into one layer. Make sure you have your top layer selected, go to the Actions menu, to the Add section and choose Copy Canvas, which copies everything visible on screen, and then paste, and you've now got a standalone layer of your image. Next, go to Adjustments, the magic wand icon, and choose Hue, Saturation, Brightness, and slide the saturation to the right and bring out the colours more. Let's take this one step further for even more control. We'll create a layer mask on top of that image. Tap the layer thumbnail and choose Mask, and you'll see a white mask appear above it. The way masks work is that anything that is white on this layer lets the mask content below be visible. Anything that's black on this layer hides it. We will invert the mask so that everything is black on this layer. Tap the mask layer thumbnail and choose Invert so everything is hidden. Now we can paint in white to reveal only the parts of our saturated illustration that we want to be visible. This trick gives huge control on so many aspects of digital illustration, even beyond our saturation touch-ups. It can be tempting to add shadows just using black, and sometimes this is exactly what's needed. But next time, try using more blue and purple colours for more depth and to help keep things looking more interesting. When using digital watercolour, usually the brushes are a little bit transparent, which means that individual strokes are more visible. This can lead to things looking a little bit messy when you do lots of dabs. Instead, try to fill whole areas of colour with one single stroke without lifting up the pencil. It's better to accidentally cover too much area, as you can always easily erase some of it. Once you've your base coat down, just repeat the process without lifting your pencil to overpaint and build up coverage, saturation, and to subtly add more shape and form. Clipping masks are an absolute lifesaver in many situations. Create the base shape, the colour doesn't matter, only the area that we're covering. The brush we're using has fairly hard edges and a little bit of transparency to its texture. We're going to go to Adjustments and Hue, Saturation, Brightness, and push the brightness all the way to the right, so what we've painted is now white. It's no longer visible against the white canvas, but the shape we painted is still there. Let's create another layer on top, tap on the thumbnail and choose Clipping Mask. This makes everything on this layer stay inside the lines of the layer below. Now we can take some interesting texture wash brushes and paint away in this layer while automatically keeping inside of the lines of our shape below. Stamps are already super useful at times. However, they can sometimes look a little bit too monochromatic and flat, so let's fix that in 2 simple ways. One is to stamp something in one colour, create a new layer, clip it to the layer below just like in the previous tip, change the colour and maybe even your stamp, and then stamp again. Using clipping masks allows you to reposition or scale the full shape within the layer below if you need to. Another option is to create the first stamp. This time we're tapping multiple times to create a more complex base stamp and get something more opaque. The randomization of our brush makes sure that it doesn't look too mechanical. And this time we'll create a new layer, clip it to the one below, and we'll use a wash in some other colour to get a completely different look. Sometimes you can save yourself a huge amount of time by working smarter and not harder. This is the colour illustration of our Wicked Watercolour pack, and we want to have more trees on the left side, but we don't want to have to paint in every single one. Instead, let's select an existing layer of a tree, swipe left on it and choose Duplicate. Using the Transform tool, we can move, scale or even flip this copy. Repeat the process until you've got your new forest. To polish things up, you can now go and edit the clones, erase some branches, add some extra in other places, and you'll end up with something nice and detailed without all the extra work. Sometimes you might not be totally happy with the look of your illustration, so here's something you can try out really quickly. We've finished this simple watercolour illustration. It looks fine, but we want to push it further and give it a look. We're going to insert a colourful image that has some texture in it on top of everything else by going to the Actions menu and choose Insert File. Once we've positioned this, we can then change the layer blend mode. Definitely experiment with different blend modes, but we're going to use Colour Burn for this. The image we've used for this here doesn't have a wide range of colours in it, so definitely experiment with ones that do, and you'll get some more extreme and interesting results. Sometimes the only final touch needed is a frame. The quickest way to do this is to use a brush with interesting edges that is nearly or completely opaque. Just add a layer on top of everything else and paint in the same colour as the canvas background. It's as easy as that. Another option is to instead block out the shape you want to contain your image, then place your final illustration on top and choose Clipping Mask. This way you can freely reposition both the mask and the illustration independently, and you can touch up your mask shape however you like without affecting the illustration. This trick is great for building up your own little library of frames that you can reuse. So there you go, 8 random tips which will hopefully help a few of you out. Drop a comment below if you have any tips of your own to share, and happy painting!